One clear afternoon, I was out riding alone on one of my favorite trails when I came across another rider whose name I didn't really care about at the time. Just decided to call him Yamaha during our encounter. It's not that hard to figure out why. He was riding what looked like a retro late 80s model YZ250, or at least his Yamaha was made to look like one. We talked about his awesome bike for a bit, then the conversation quickly shifted to the local trails. He told me about an old abandoned trail nearby that was his favorite. I asked if he could show me, and off we went. After about 15 minutes of riding, we finally reached the trailhead. It looked rough, but I was ready for the challenge. I rode steadfast onto the trail with Yamaha following right behind me. We didn't even get a half a mile through before the skies turned dark and an outburst erupted. A storm had crossed our path, starting with gusts of wind and followed by a heavy rainstorm. Filled with fear, I noticed a deserted house off the trail with an open gate. The house seemed old and abandoned. We parked our bikes and immediately went in to seek shelter. Storm didn't seem ready to settle anytime soon, so we decided to stay at the house till it did. To make some room for us to stay, we started cleaning up the lounge. Yamaha yelled,
Hey, look, there's a basement. Let's see what's down there.
picked up the boxes of discarded stuff to bring with us. The basement was old, worn out, and dirty, but pretty much empty. Dropped the boxes near the back wall. As I was walking up the stairs, I noticed Yamaha was not behind me. I went back to find him and saw him standing at the corner of the basement with his head continuously tapping on the wall. He was muttering a non-native language in a heavily wicked and devilish voice. When I caught the sight of this scene, I was terrified. I shouted in a trembling voice, Man, it's not safe down here. Let's go. He did not respond. Right at this moment, a clash of thunder shook me. I jumped, but Yamaha was still and unmoving. Gathering all the courage I had left, I fearfully approached him and placed my shaky hand on his left shoulder. He swiftly turned towards me and said,
Where were you? I was looking for you and you weren't here.
Suddenly, he was casual, just like before. It was like nothing had ever happened. I tried to inquire why he was banging his head on the wall, but he denied everything and insisted that he was fine. And I asked him to set things up while I went to use the bathroom. I had just entered and immediately heard someone walking with the sound of water dripping. Every step was as if someone was walking barefoot on the wet carpet, violently dragging their feet. The sounds of the steps intensified, and I started shivering. I couldn't even call anyone for help due to my fear. Gathering all the courage I had left, I bent over to peek from the space between the floor and the door. I saw crooked, bare feet, drenched with mud, and I could hear the sound of the feet dragging as they moved. I was terrified, with my eyes wide open. I forcefully tried to quiet myself with my own hands. I was still in a bent posture. My face was frozen, but my eyes were moving along with the movement of those crooked feet. I tried to find my phone, but then realized I had left it in the lounge. While I was trying to find my phone, I lost sight of the feet. Tried to find those feet again, but couldn't do so. Still terrified, I finally gathered the nerve to call out to Yamaha for help. Suddenly, everything became quiet, and the doorknob started turning. I raised my eyes. The moment I did, the door swung open, and a horrifying sight appeared. It was a large, heavy-set man with long, wet hairs covering his face. I screamed and slammed the door shut and closed my eyes. That's when I heard Yamaha ask if I was okay, like nothing had happened. The moment I stepped out of the bathroom, I experienced this unusual and bizarre feeling. The noiseless environment was like something was shouting at us to run away. Suddenly, I heard a crashing sound from the basement. I rushed towards it and saw a heart-wrenching scene. It was Yamaha. I could see fears in his eyes as he was lying on the ground, tied up, and his mouth was covered with his own shirt. I felt the ground slip from under my feet. I looked back above my shoulder to try and figure out who I was with, if Yamaha was tied up down there. Then I heard those steps again, dragging behind me. I rushed towards Yamaha to rescue him. Tears of fear were in his eyes as I freed him and untied the cloth around his mouth. He was astonished. Terribly, he said,
Now he won't leave me. He will kill me. He will kill me. I won't survive now.
And I asked him, "Who is he? Tell me." But the footsteps started getting louder and louder. Suddenly everything started striking and slamming. A strange figure of the heavy-set man appeared at the bottom of the steps, breathing heavily. We both began to scream. All of a sudden, Yamaha was thrown against the wall as if by an invisible force, and was knocked unconscious. A huge, troll-sized man grabbed my leg and dragged me up out of the basement, took me outside into the raging storm. While I was being dragged, I saw Yamaha looking at me from a window, smiling like a maniac. I shouted, "Help me!" A gigantic man looked down at me and laughed, still dragging me into the cold, dark woods. I heard someone scream,
Is everyone okay over there?
The evil troll-like man let go of my leg, looked down at me again, smiled, and disappeared right in front of me. I fainted from fear and fatigue. I woke up the next day in the hospital. Seems that a hunter who was caught up in the storm as well heard my screams and came to investigate. When he found me unconscious, I told the police what happened, leaving out a few parts I knew they wouldn't believe. The police searched the house but couldn't find any trace that anybody other than me had ever been there that day. Not even Yamaha or his YZ250. Never saw him again, and to this day, I refuse to go near that strange trail in the woods.